Do not adjust your radio dial. You are tuned in to the Mark Order Podcast. Join the Mark Order.
It's Friday afternoon. You might not know what that means, because normally that's a Wednesday night gimmick, but I am trying not to laugh at Ryan right now as his chair's moving when his head's down, so it looks like his chair was haunted, which is awesome. We got a little afternoon predictions show for you. It's Friday, May 24th, so we're going to predict what we can of the card that we have. We still have a Rampage and a Collision to go. We're going to get some double or muffin predictions in for you. We're going to let Ryan figure out his mic. His mic arm broke like right before it went on air, which heckin' rules. He's saying he's unavailable to keep going, but the theme is still going super loud. There we go. A prediction where Ryan has to hold up signs like Sammy Guevara, or mime them out would be really fun, and it would be even funnier, I think, in audio form. Yeah, exactly, like third base coach style, Joe. But
sack bar.
That's right, absolutely. Throw, fastball, suicide squeeze, something. But we're gonna get going. If anybody in the chat has anything they want to weigh in on for our double or nothing predictions, feel free to. Or are we not live? I don't even know. But we're going to rock and roll. We're going to rock and roll right now. Ryan not being able to talk is so funny because his facial expressions can't compensate for it. But he's trying. He's trying so hard. If you're listening in audio form, you are missing out. You are missing out on some classic Ryan faces, but I'll chat with Joe a little bit while he gets situated over there. Joe, we've got double or nothing coming up. I feel like the Dynasty card had a lot of bangers. See, Ophelia knows. She said Ryan's muted best episode ever. I agree, but I feel like Dynasty was a lot of bangers and not a ton of story. I think there might be more advancement for story in this. I feel like both of the builds were really good, and I don't think Dynasty was absent of story, but this just seems to have a little bit more meat on the bone, I think. What are your thoughts overall going into double or nothing?
I feel like this one is a little bit more predictable, but oftentimes when the cards they feel more predictable, it's more story as far as the pay-per-view itself and going forward. So I'm hoping that we get more of the signs of this one. We get some resolution, obviously, with some of these matches, but a couple of these feuds will continue and evolve into something else.
Yeah, and we're going to dive into all of those and more. Nice to see some people joining in the chat. I know this is kind of a weird time for us to get up and going, but hello, Ashok. Hello, Ophelia. If we could trade Ryan in for you under any circumstances, even better. But how we doing over there, Ryan? Are you nothing? You got nothing? Can you just use your earbuds audio? This is so funny. I'm going to make Ryan give us all his predictions whether or not he can speak, because this rules. But we're going to go ahead and get into this. It was when you were testing it out and the audio was just like the microphone was just down, it was okay, but now it's just like, now we're getting no audio. So, well, we're going to dive into it. Corey Michael saying, with God as my witness, Ryan has been broken mentally in half. He was at least a third of the way there already. So this is just kind of putting him over the top. But, well, before we do that, I'll ask Joe, do you have any predictions outside of what's on the card? Normally we go through the card, but any returns, any debuts? We've got Camille out there, Motor City Machine Guns, Fightful Select reported that MJF will be healthy enough by the next pay-per-view. Do we think his presence is made known here? Not sure about an update on Adam Cole, but there's definitely been some people on the bench. Fightful Select also reporting that Kenny Omega just went under surgery, so I doubt that he'll be there. But any thoughts about non-match predictions?
Yeah, I think we're due for a return or a surprise. Maybe in the aftermath of Anarchy in the Arena.
Sure.
Since that story will obviously carry on through most of the summer. So maybe we have a return or an interference or something like that after the match. Other than that, I don't know.
Think we get any brutish surprises? Do you think we get any creatures from beyond showing up with Edge here?
Calling for Gangrel warfare?
I'm hoping so. I'm hoping for Gangrel Wars involved in this. Might be fun to have some people equaling out the rest of House of Black. I think that could be a really good time. But Ryan, what about you? Any thoughts on possible non-match predictions? I was really hoping he was going to start doing cartoonish hand movements, but he seems to be genuinely trying to work on stuff. So we still do have Rampage, and he says, I want Brood. Yeah, I think a lot of people are in the camp of we need Gangrel here for sure. I hope they get it. I think you alluded to, Joe, on Wednesday that in a couple of interviews he had said that WWE wasn't receptive to it, and that he said that they thought the crowd wouldn't get it. And I think AEW is definitely viewed as a smart crowd. So I think they definitely would. I also think the WWE crowd would have gotten it. And even if they didn't get it, I think they would still think it was really cool. So I'm hoping that we get that too. But let's dive in as Ryan comically is just forehead right now. It's my favorite thing whenever he has to go close. It's just usually just the word Phillies and then just just white flesh. But we're going to dive in a little bit.
Can he type his response and you just read it as Ryan? Just do voice acting as Ryan?
Oh, I could if he didn't just take himself off screen, which is so disappointing. But what is Ryan if not a disappointment? We'll see if he can get himself situated. I think he probably left and has to come back in to get his audio reset. But Ashok saying, I think Malachi wins the TNT title. In my opinion, this is where House of Black splits up when Malachi goes off on a power trip. Perhaps he and Brody King have the title match it all in. I don't think that's the case. I do think we might be leading to a House of Black split, but I don't think Malachi wins here. I don't know. I'm pretty sure he's in a contract year. I haven't heard anything about him resigning, but I just don't feel like him holding this singles title right now is the way to get there. And I think for Adam Copeland to drop, there can be a bigger payoff than that. But any thoughts on that match? We'll start with that since the chat brought it up.
I think Copeland wins. It's an interesting thought, but I think you don't build up the storyline with Copeland running through the House of Black and him having this, revert back to this, more sinister character of his for him to lose. So I think that's, you get hopefully get the return pop of Gangrel, and then you get the Copeland winning, and we'll see what happens to him going forward.
My little Kate dream for this is that you have House of Black out there and Julia can make it. And then on Copeland's side, you have Kyle O'Reilly because he's been a part of this story. You have Gangrel and Beth Phoenix coming to just scare off Julia Hart a little bit. I think could just be really, really fun. I don't know if she's under a WWE Legends deal or anything like that. I don't know if she's available for such thing, but it would be really, really cool to get a Beth Phoenix appearance and to do so in this creepy, weird little faction. I think could be super, super fun. But
I would like them not to use Metalingus for this intro. If you're going to try to be a spook guy, give me more of the Brood type of vibe.
Yeah, I think we all know Mikey Ruckus is a master at this point of being able to turn out whatever you need. I think he could totally have some sort of sick remix of Metalingus or something completely different that I think could be super, super fun. So I'm with you on that. But let's get into the rest of this card here. In much delight to me, we've got the Bang Bang Gang versus the Death Triangle for the trios titles. I gave my thoughts on this on Wednesday a little bit of that I feel like this is a really good match for just restoring some integrity to the trios division a little bit. I think it desperately needed something like this that's going to be incredible, just incredible in-ring action. I do think the Bang Bang Gang retains here, and I think we eventually get a Jay White Pac one-on-one match that will just make me grin from ear to ear to ear. All of the ears I have, I will be grinning between them. But I know some people have thought like this is an opportunity, and I know you had said on Wednesday you want to see Jay White as a single star, not doing the goofy stuff. I feel like this is early for that. I think we might head in that direction, but probably on a Juice Robinson return. I would love to see Juice back here. I just don't think he's ready yet. What are your thoughts?
My head says Bang Bang Gang. My heart says Death Triangle for the reasons you listed about trying to restore some order to those trio belts.
Sure.
So yeah,
bastards.
Oh,
are you gonna vote with your head or your heart?
Oh, I'm gonna go with my heart just to be different.
Oh,
usually
okay.
my heart fails me. My heart failure.
Heart.
Oh my god, it's so much better when we get no audio. Joe and
I had to restart my entire goddamn computer.
Oh, you poor thing. Wah wah.
I hate you in ways I can't even describe.
So we talked about Malachi Black versus Copeland to start us off. The chat was saying different things than we were. They think Malachi Black might win. That's what A-Shock was saying. I had said that I want it to have House of Black out there, and I want Copeland to have Kyle O'Reilly, obviously Gangrel, and Beth Phoenix in the corner to run off Julia Hart if she's available. Any thoughts or predictions there?
I'm going with Copeland. Jesus, this is just... Can you hear me if I'm back here?
Yeah, you're fine. You sound a little
Okay.
echoey, but not like egregious.
Do I really? God damn it.
Everybody, I'm going with Copeland.
Well,
I think it'd be weird
you
to
sound
have
like
him embrace
a
this dark side and lose. I know, it's because I was picking up the microphone.
The microphone.
Fuck you.
So we got Adam Copeland across the board for this panel. The chat, a little different than where we're at. But then we swung into this trios title. I was saying, kind of reiterating what I thought Wednesday of that I think this is a good match to restore some prestige to the trios division. Darn it. What do you think we're going to get out of this trios match?
Hello, everybody. I'm a big proponent of this helping rebuild the trios division, of giving real rivalries with high quality teams. So I still think the Bang Bang Gang wins. I kind of hope so, because I do think this is a way to rebuild Jay White into a big time player, because until they went nowhere with him, the Acclaimed were hugely over. And had Max Caster not annoyed people, and had they not run out of stories, they'd still be huge. They're actually kind of still over for a lot of crowds. So there is a way to make Jay White one of the most over people in the company if you just let him go out. Now the guns can kind of keep with him. I'm going Bang Bang Gang, and I think it rebuilds the trios.
I do too. I think you called it on Wednesday when you said once Juice is ready to re-enter the picture, then maybe you let Jay White go off and be a single star. I think he's a dark horse to maybe dethrone Swerve months and months and months from now. I think you have a nice long reign for Swerve, but I think it's possible. Though it does kind of feel like that should be Hangman someday. So some good stuff there at a match I just could not care less about. Chris Jericho versus Hook versus Katsuyori Shibata. I'll throw it to you, Ryan, first, since you are our newscaster in residence here.
Well, looking at the forecast, I think we're going to see a lot of shade under that tree. I have Jericho winning.
Joe?
I also have Jericho winning. I have Shibata taking the loss. And I think we eventually build, hopefully, a Hook and Samoa Joe versus Jericho Big Bill, Samoa Joe Jericho match. that's my hope. We get out of all this pain and suffering we're enduring now.
Yeah, I agree. I think Hook has to lose because I think he needs to move up to bigger and better things. I feel like the FTW belt was becoming a are you or aren't you not going to do a thing with your dad? And if not, let's move on. But Ryan, any more thoughts as to why Jericho?
Jesus Christ. See, I don't like having to bend down. Then you lose my beautiful face. Because if you don't have Jericho in, the learning tree gets chopped down very early. Now, there is a story where he loses and gets very angry and starts doing very, very evil things to Hook. There is a story there. I don't think it's the story they're going to tell, but there is a story there. And as a newscaster, I know my stories.
Man, I thought Ryan couldn't be any more obnoxious, but here we are. We got Trent Beretta versus Orange Cassidy. Man.
Oh, hold up. I could absolutely be more obnoxious. Let's be fair. I rein it in.
That is alarmingly true. But we'll go to Joe for Trent Beretta versus Orange Cassidy. Do you think Trent gets even more vicious, or does Orange Cassidy get his comeuppance here?
I feel like based on wrestling math, OC win since he lost the parking lot brawl, and I think maybe he wins with callous shenanigans.
That's fair. That is fair.
That's the only thing I can think of. I really could see it go either way. I could see Alice, turning on him. I could see other people get involved. But I'll go with OC.
I'm going to go with Trent and interference from Rocky Romero and maybe some mean words from Chuck Taylor. But I think this ends in a parking lot brawl between Trent and Orange Cassidy, and the story is not done yet. So that's the way I'm going on this one. But Ryan, you're going to be the tiebreaker here. What do you think?
Well, looking at the latest trends, I think I'm going to have to go with Trent. He needs the win more than Orange Cassidy, who has been well protected in his AEW career if you look. Trent, however, has taken many losses. If this turn is to mean anything, I think we need a Trent victory. Back to you, Kate.
Okay, I'm not going to lie. I kind of like the back to you. Makes me feel very official. I feel like I should be doing a man on the street, or you should be doing a man on the street thing with that of like, I'm standing here with a wrestling fan, but fortunately we are not set up to do such a thing. But we move along here. We get Roddy Strong versus Will Ospreay for the international title. I think this is Will Ospreay's. I'm going to make a bold prediction here. I think MJF comes back here. I've been thinking about this a lot. I think you're headed toward MJF versus Ospreay at some point. I think Max comes back here and there's a post-match beatdown of Will Ospreay. I think you jump into that picture and you turn him heel immediately. And I think a really good way to do that is versus Will Ospreay, or to stomp out everybody's favorite babyface after an incredible match versus Roddy Strong. And it could have been his to win, right? You have the Undisputed Kingdom here. These people were tormenting Max for a really, really long time. Should have been his opportunity. Should have been his belt. Heel, but motivated. Not a bad way to go. Not a bad way to go. But Ryan, I think Will Ospreay versus Roddy is another one. I mean, every match that we've seen with Will Ospreay has been incredible since coming over to AEW. Roddy, not far behind in that way. I feel like stylistically this could be extremely fun, but it's hard to not say could be match of the night anytime Ospreay's involved at this point, right?
Well, Kate, looking at the tail of the tape, it usually is a good call to make Will Ospreay match of the night. It has happened more often than not. In fact, many of his matches have been put up for match of the year candidacy, so that's not a bad decision. However, I think I'm actually going to go with Roderick Strong. I think you're predicting an MJF comeback, whereas I'm predicting an Adam Cole return. I think he costs Ospreay, and that is the route we're going, and then MJF comes in later. Sorry to disagree. Back to you.
That is perfectly acceptable. But we throw to Asian Joe, who is sitting in his home. And we'll get his prediction here. Will Ospreay heavily favored on this one. I think a lot of people are assuming he's going to hold that international title going in to the all-in, all-out pay-per-view cycles. I'm one of those people. They could also have him win it there. A lot of possibilities, but what do you think? I like that we have a couple different answers within us. This is good. Nice to spice it up a bit here.
Well, here in the Omaha Bureau of the Mark Order podcast, I am going to go with Will Ospreay, and I think my prediction based off of pattern of that title, and if looking back at the lineage of that title so far, we've had international guy, 2 U.S. guys, international guy, 2 U.S. guys. So we're due for another international champion. And I think Ospreay can take the belt. I like your idea of MJF maybe coming back, maybe looking like he'll save Ospreay, but maybe beating him down. That'd be kind of fun. So, but yeah, Ospreay for the win.
Standing by, I'm hearing that we are so elevated. Whoa, so elevated. But we move along to our women's world title match. Now, this I think is going to be awesome. I think Toni Storm has found the perfect blend of in-ring and character in her past couple outings. I feel like the match against Thunder Rosa was great. I think we've seen some incredible shared work here. I think this is a pretty obvious Toni Storm retention. It feels very much to me like we're building to Mariah May being the one to dethrone Toni Storm, as I think Mariah May has certainly earned that at this point. But we'll throw to Ryan out in the field to see what his thoughts are. This is probably one of the most predictable ones on the card, but I think we're going to get a hell of a match out of it.
Thank you, Kate. It is stormy weather here, so we do have to be careful. I am going to go with Toni Storm in this match. I think the pattern holds true. I'm looking at the straight line wins that have wrecked the Midwest of the country, and I think that just continues all the way across. I like to also point out, I realize that when you have 3 of us like this, it almost looks like we're the talking head spots on Fox News or CNN. Thank you. Back to you, Kate.
It does sound that way when we all talk in this goofy cadence, but Joe, I would be remiss to leave you out, as I've never left anybody out ever a single time in my entire life hosting. Joe, Serena Deeb, Toni Storm, you have been under tornado watch. Do you think the storm is a brewing with Toni?
Well played. Well, Kate, first into the right. There we go. I'm going to go with Toni Storm. I think the storm system coming across Serena Deeb had been pretty violent so far. I feel Serena had been built up as a contender, but maybe to your point from Wednesday's review show, she goes off and starts to build up her dojo and creates a faction of other really kick-ass women. That's you.
Oh, thank you so much. That was Timeless Asian Joe over there. Love to see the black and white. Yeah, I'm very much looking forward to that match. And I do think Serena Deeb actually having students in her dojo would probably be a good call. Moving along to our triple main event, which I gotta say off the bat is an absolute load of horseshit.
Real quick, A-Shock with a great comment. Joe, live from the past.
Live from, well, he's timeless, so there is no past or future. There is only timeless.
There's only Joe.
There is only timeless Asian Joe. We moved to our triple main event, which sucks to have when you're doing your first women's main event. It sucks under any circumstances, but all 3 feeling very different here. We've got Swerve versus Christian Cage. I think this is an obvious Swerve retention, but I think some fun stuff could happen on the Christian Cage chaos side of things. We'll throw to Ryan first on this one. Do you think there's any shot in hell that Christian wins here? I think this has just been a fun program to have, but I think Swerve is the obvious winner.
Since I'm an old school newsman from the 1950s, 60s, and possibly 70s, I of course support the patriarchy. However, in this match, I do not think we are in for a swerve, and I think Shane Strickland is going to win. I think it'd be really bad to have his reign be this short, and I don't think there's a story for Christian in that regard. I look for Shane Strickland to win pretty clean. Obviously, he has to beat up patriarchy's henchmen. Back to you, Kate.
Ryan, thank you so much. And Joe, I throw it over to you, and I've got to wonder, what does Prince Nana have to do in this picture? Do we think that the prince arrives?
I remember character from that sounded a lot like a Seinfeld impersonation.
Kind of did, yeah.
What's the deal with wrestling?
Airplane food, yeah.
I'm not sure what Nana will do other than dance. I'm sure get involved somehow to help keep some of the patriarchy at bay. Swerve is easily going to win. Nice little feud to kind of hold over until the next cycle of pay-per-views. I'm actually a little bit more curious about what happened to Christian after this loss.
Sure. This has been a hell of a run for Christian. I don't know if it's been super productive in getting over the people that are in his group. I don't think there's a ton of meat on the bone with Luchasaurus. We've talked about that extensively. That is not a for me dude or kill switch. Nick Wayne wrestles like once every 3 months. So if they have to break it up for this to continue, I think that's cool. But I do think they've got to do a ladder match with Christian and Edge at one of the upcoming pay-per-views, right? So if Adam Copeland, Adam Edgeland, whatever, doesn't lose tonight, maybe he gets really pissed off about that. That score feels settled, but maybe he starts to try and lure him over or something. It feels like we've got to do that. We've got to do that at some point. But we move along to, I'm going to do our Team AEW versus Team Elite Anarchy in the Arena match. I'm going heels on this one for sure. I think this has got to continue, and your baby faces are not going to be able to get the better of them yet. I think we'll have to add people to each side, and we'll probably get a War Games match out of this eventually. I think Danny Garcia is probably next in line for that. I am curious. I saw some people theorizing that Darby Allin's going to get taken out either tonight or tomorrow, and Danny Garcia will take his place. But I think that was more just an idea of a protection if Darby Allin wasn't cleared or ready to go. But Joe, we'll go to you first on this. I'm thinking it's got to be the heels, but I think we're going to get some really wacky shit since Wednesday ended up with Darby and a flamethrower.
I'm with you. I think this is just kind of the first piece with the heels winning in this kind of match where it can be a little brutal, a little over the top. I mean, that's the Elite to a T, I think. Unless he comes in with his flamethrower or a wood chipper or whatever else you can think of, I don't see the faces winning, and I think it leads to a blood and guts. And then maybe this match, maybe Claudio gets involved. Maybe we've had some little hints of dissension between him and Danielson, so maybe he finally just takes him out or to try to protect him. Sure.
I think there's a lot of interesting possibilities. I have a hard time believing like Eddie Kingston wouldn't have been heavily involved in this angle had he not been taken out. So they're probably shuffling the board a little bit. But Ryan, we go to you with your team versus team. Elite versus OGs.
Well, Kate, I have been polling many people, and many people believe this is about the Elite. Seems early in the feud to have them lose, considering they are the biggest story in AEW. It would be a shocker. I do have a question for all those involved. TLT Electric Mayhem says, "Hi ho, Ryan the Frog here. Do I sound like Kermit? Because if I do, I will never stop doing this voice, because I am a Kermit fan. Please, Kate, inform this reporter."
I'm going to say no, mostly because I just want you to stop doing that voice at some point, but also because I don't know if a Kermit is what it is. Kermit is
fair enough.
He's a little nasally and more back here.
Hi-ho, Kermit the Frog here.
Well, that was like the kid of Kermit and Miss Piggy. You are the offspring.
I'm Tiny Tim, who was their kid in the movie.
It is true.
That sounds a lot like
did not die.
Timu version of Kermit, like the Wish version of Kermit. The Timu
version. Hell yeah.
Well, kids, I'd like to report that I am not the one who said I sounded like Kermit. I was just reporting the news. Back to you, Kate, ignoring Asian Joe.
Wow. Some dissension among our own team. I am intrigued to see what happens in this match. I'm intrigued to see, like, if the Motor City Machine Guns are signed, they got to show up at some point, right? I don't think it's in this because this feels OGs versus New Elite, and they don't really fit into either of those categories. It does. My only complaint, and I really loved the new Elite story, and I love that they have an umbrella story over the whole product. It does feel like the Continental title doesn't really mean very much right now. It does feel like the tag titles don't really mean very much right now because they're not really being built toward or defended because we have this whole multi-man picture that should free up room on these cards, but it kind of doesn't because there's so many belts. But I would love for the Motor City Machine Guns to appear. I think they're a perfect Dynamite after a pay-per-view surprise. We used to get a lot of those. If people remember, like, Miro was a Dynamite after a pay-per-view surprise. And I kind of miss those 1-2 punches. So I don't know if they show up in this picture, but I would like to see them show up. But I do think maybe we get some debuts after this match, which I'm calling the main event because there should be one main event, and it should be Willow Nightingale versus Mercedes Moné, the CEO. We're gonna go to Joe first, our reporter in his home.
The Omaha Bureau. Come on.
The Omaha Bureau, excuse me.
I'm going with Mercedes. I mean, you're not going to have her lose her debut match after all this buildup. And I think we get the story of Willow and Statlander coming out of this as back feuds direction kind of transition to their direction. I think Mercedes with the TBS title will just continue to help further elevate that championship from what Statlander did with it, from what Willow's done with it, from what Julia's done with it. Keep elevating it to the point where it's on par with the world championships, I feel like. So I think it'll be Mercedes, and I'm looking forward to seeing who comes after her next.
I agree, and it's interesting because I've seen a lot of people saying they want Willow to retain because she waited so long for this moment. I think what's happening, though, is that Mercedes is turning heel, right? And I think people genuinely just want to see the face to get the win, right? And I think that's actually good. I think you have to serve the story here. But before I get my thoughts, I'll throw to Ryan.
Thank you, Kate. I have Mercedes winning because it would seem odd to have her lose in her first match in AEW, and she would look mighty good walking around with that TBS title. She would show it off everywhere she went when she did press. However, I do have a question. Do we think she wins clean, or does Chris Statlander hurt Willow? Please, my fellow comrades. Oh, fuck. Please, people, answer.
Well, first of all,
cut that.
I think we all need to do the CEO dance. Okay. Thank you. That just needed to be done. So I appreciate it. You're doing the Macarena. This is just like when you try and do hand things and it doesn't go well. I actually do feel like Mercedes wins, and the story of you tried to take my career from me, so I'm taking everything from you comes into play here. I think Mercedes wins the title. I think Stokely and Chris Statlander join, and I think maybe you get some extra muscle in the form of Camille or Megan Bayne. I'm gonna guess Megan Bayne just because I feel like Camille has some like solo star power that she needs to introduce to the AEW crowd first, but I think it could very much go either way. Mercedes having a stable would be awesome. If Serena Deeb does get a dojo, like having some factions on the women's side, they've gotten so much better about this talent rotation. That could really kick it up a notch. It really, really could. So I think Mercedes wins here, and she takes everything from them. And
breaking news, Ryan has an opinion. Ryan likes your idea. He thinks Megan Bayne works better with Mercedes because she would be more of a follower, whereas you could put Camille in the dojo and she would be the big acquisition. Back to you, Kate.
Well, thank you for agreeing with me because I'm really pretty and funny and smart. So I do appreciate that, but that was a very disruptive breaking news. Oh my God.
Breaking
you also
news.
Don't sound like the breaking news thing. You sound like
I don't know what that sound would sound like. Scientists confirm that what Kate just said is a lie. Back to you.
Oh my God. Not just botched in so many ways. You sound like kids' carnival music, and then your outro is all faded and bad.
Screw you, Kate.
Any other closing thoughts on Double or Nothing and or Joe? Do you think anything develops tonight on Rampage or on Collision that sets up any maybe 0-hour matches or things we haven't seen yet? A professional.
Well, Kate, you have skipped a match.
No, did I?
That's my breaking news alert. You skipped a match. You didn't skip Ryan.
I
You didn't skip.
did. I skipped John
Breaking news.
Moxley and
Kate
Takeshita,
always
didn't
skips
I?
something.
Well, I like to skip. What can I say? It's a fun childhood activity. I forgot about John Moxley versus Takeshita. Sorry, it's been a very intricate broadcast. I've had to throw to 2 journalists in the process. Remember when the Muppet Newsman would read his news updates and then something related to the story in his head? No reason. I just thought of that. Thank you, Kyle. Thank you, Kyle. Yes. Moxley versus Takeshita. This better be a Takeshita win is all I'll say. That guy needs a big pay-per-view win. It's an eliminator match. It would be very, very dumb if Takeshita doesn't win this. But Joe, I'll let you take us out of this one. And also, if there's anything you want to add that you think might develop on Rampage or Collision, instead of just making me look incompetent, you can also answer the question. I don't need the help looking that way. It's fine.
Such a hard-hitting gotcha media journalist. Wow. Answers the question. Takeshita wins. I think it kind of telegraphed with the fact that it was being billed as an eliminator match. So you'll have that rematch down the road, whether it's a Forbidden Door or some other show. And then, I'm trying to remember, what was the other question you said? You shook me there.
Anything that you think might develop on Rampage or Collision going into this?
Well, they taped Rampage already, so I think if you saw results, I don't think anything came out of that. Collision, I could see them making the deal on Sunday for the belts. I don't think they advertised that yet. So I think they'll have Lucha Brothers defeat the Guns.
That makes sense. That makes sense. All brilliant analysis from the Omaha Bureau. We thank you so much. Ryan, I don't know. Do you think any of these matches are going to be fun? And also, what? Brian Danielson did not find me for my incompetence, and certainly none of you can. I am the anchor. I am the anchor man out here.
It's anchor woman.
It's the anchor man, not anchor lady. I'm
Kate.
Kate Elizabeth.
Fair enough. Well, Kate, I'm very mad that I just remembered we had the ticker. I would have been using this so much more. I predict Takeshita winning because then you have your rematch in New Japan, which would make both companies happy. It seems set up perfectly for that. There may be shenanigans or hijinks. I have no other thoughts. I hope they don't set anything up, but if tradition holds, they always do. Expect 4 matches to be added for a 12-hour pay-per-view. Thank you, Kate, and back to you.
I will say the pay-per-view times have not been as bad of late, and the cards have been a little bit slimmer, but we don't know what's on the 0 hour and what's been given to us. Wouldn't be shocked if they threw another match or 2. Some multi-man stuff, some meat stuff, who knows? But I'm looking very forward to this pay-per-view. I thought Dynasty was incredible. I think this is going to be incredible in a different way. I think there's different dimension than what we got on Dynasty. But guys, that's the shortest show we've ever done by millions of miles. Since we do have a little extra time here, we will remind you that there is a Memorial Day sale going on at Pro Wrestling Tees. If you are going to head over there and buy some wrestling merch, especially at a Double or Nothing weekend, you can certainly keep us in mind. We have 4 beautiful designs. If you want to pick up a t-shirt, keep us in mind with your purchases. If you're trying to get over that shipping limit, add us, get one of those double-sided ones. They're the prettiest ones. But before we get out of here, I'm going to let everybody plug their stuff. I always have the longest one, so I'll go at the end. But Ryan, are you perhaps revising history in the way that you revised what your position on the show is?
Well, Kate, you are a liar when you claim I revise history. In fact, I am just cut that, edit, thank you, in post. we go.
We're live
Whether
here
yellow,
at the
red,
Mark
red.
Order Podcast.
Oh no, my career is ruined. I do not revise history. I simply write on it.
There's
You
a
can follow
deep
my blog.
drive by Castellanos.
I deeply apologize for the harmful things I said. And there's a deep drive by Castellanos.
I consider myself a man of faith, but where can we read some extremely accurate historic analysis, Ryan?
Hereforhistory.com @_hereforhistory on all the socials, and follow us at Mark Order Pod on all the socials that I mostly man. Thank you, and back to you, Kate. Oh, wait, breaking news. Joe to miss Collider Cast. Ryan sad. Back to you, Kate.
I can't imagine why he suddenly can't make it. It couldn't be this obnoxious gimmick that we have going on. But Joe, where can people find you to learn about Serial, to follow your wonderful tweets? All of the above.
You can find me on social media at _AsianJoe. And a link is in my bio for my serial review blog, so you can read all about random cereals.
That is what's up. You can find me at Miss Kate Fabe on Twitter. I'm currently locked out, but that's okay. I'll be back after my feud with Tom Campbell settles down a little bit. But at Miss Kate Fabe on social media, you can also find me on Fightful every Tuesday, Thursday, and Friday doing the NXT, ROH, and SmackDown post shows. I'll be joined by SP3 permanently starting the first Thursday in June. Very excited about that. Wednesdays here at the Mark Order Podcast and on Fightful Select Mondays and Saturdays, but this weekend, all weekend, because we got 2 pay-per-views. We got WWE tomorrow. We've got Double or Nothing on Sunday. A great wrestling weekend to be had by all. But guys, thank you so much for tuning in for our predictions show. Hopefully we don't miss anything. Hopefully nothing too major develops over the next 2 nights. But if it does, we will be outdated on this, but we will keep you covered on the Collider Cast and our social media. So stay tuned for that. Enjoy the pay-per-view. We'll see you guys on the next one.
Oh, crap. Ryan wasn't ready.
My God, worst news anchor producer ever.
This concludes the Mark